Hi, this is Chazz Palminteri, and you're watching Comedy Matters TV.
Hey, this is Jeffrey Gurian for Comedy Matters TV, and I'm here with Chazz Palminteri. Have you ever done stand-up comedy?
I tried it once for about 6 months, and I was okay in the beginning when I first tried it many years ago. It's just I always enjoyed hiding behind characters, and for me, I just felt it wasn't for me. I don't know how good I would have been at it, but I always felt I just wanted to act. I wanted to play more characters.
Because you have a comedic sensibility,
yes.
And I perform stand-up. I was a writer for years, but I tried stand-up just to see that I could do it, and it's the hardest thing in the world.
Huh.
It's the hardest thing in the world to get out on a stage and try to make strangers laugh
Yes.
with things that you think are funny.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Well, but you have to build a show. Nobody just gets up there and does it. People don't realize when you see Chris Rock and you see all these guys on TV, that's material that's been tried and true and worked and reworked, and before Chris goes out and does a 2-hour special for HBO and all these guys, they're on the road for 6 months putting all this together, and then what you see is the best of everything. Right. So they know it works, but it's hard.
And they make it look like they're just ad-libbing it.
Exactly.
They're doing it for the first time.
Yes, exactly. That's the beauty in it. But it's extremely hard. Anybody who thinks he could be, everybody thinks, oh, you're funny. You should be a stand-up comic. Yeah, you think you're funny? Go on stage and let's see you go do it, and see what happens.
There's a big difference between being funny at a party and with your friends and being funny on a stage.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Really, go on a stage with 12 strangers who are late at night. They're a little drunk. They're in a bad mood. Go make them laugh. Go ahead. Now tell me how good you are, how funny you are. Right.
I'm glad you mentioned Chris, because Chris just wrote the introduction to my new book.
Wow.
Are you familiar with the comic strip, The Comedy Club on 81st and 2nd?
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's 35 years old, and I'm doing the book on the club. It's coming out in a few months.
Right.
And it's where Seinfeld started, and Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock and all those guys. So we're there all the time. So hopefully you'll come by one night.
Yeah, I'd like to come by. I will come by, yes. My favorite comedian today, obviously, is Chris. My favorite stand-up comic of all time, I thought, was Richard Pryor. I thought
He was amazing. He was amazing.
I thought Richard broke incredible ground. I thought he was the first to bring actual stories and make them funny. To me, Richard Pryor was, I have some, Robin Williams I think is great.
I just saw Robin at the Comedy Awards. Have you been to any of the Fryers roasts?
I think
You were at Quentin Tarantino.
I was at Quentin. Yeah, I've been to a couple, but I love talking about Richard because he was so fast. I was just fascinated by him. I mean, Eddie Murphy and all those guys. I mean, they owe a lot to Richard, I think, because Richard was just. I saw that special, and I remember people in the theater standing up, having to stand up and walk to the aisle because they were laughing so hard they could not sit down. I remember women and kids, and I never seen anything like that before in my life. To me, Richard Pryor was, you don't like to say that word genius, but I think he was. He just broke new ground, and he was my favorite comic of all time.
Yeah, there are certain people that are just one of a kinds, and all these people do admit that they were influenced by him. Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock says it very openly that he was influenced by him.
Well, how could you not be? There are certain people that come along in lifetimes who changed the game, and he did, Richard did, Marlon Brando did in the 50s, and then it wasn't changed again until Robert De Niro did Raging Bull in the 70s. He changed his style of acting. He changed where actors gained the weight and did all that. It's those people that you have to recognize. I think it's very important.
The hardest thing in comedy is finding a comedy persona,
yes.
Finding a uniqueness, which is what I like about Sacha Baron Cohen. When he does something like Borat or Ali G,
yes.
To me, and I don't use the word genius lightly either, but I think he falls into that category. To be able to stay in character for that long, you know what that's like. If you did 18 characters in Bronx Tale,
yes.
Going from one character to another, to me is amazing. You out John Leguizamo before he came along, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you. I saw John's show, which I loved. I saw a lot of his shows, in fact, and I thought they were just terrific, all of them. You know, the difference with my show is it was the first time anyone has ever done a linear story. See, most stand-up shows, most one-man shows, they do a character, then they talk to the audience, they break the fourth wall. Where Bronx Tale on stage was a linear movie. All the characters straight through without stopping. That's why that was, I think, so received.
I can't even really picture it. How did you do the fight scene? I mean, you described the fight scene. You described what happened when the bikers came into the bar.
And then do it. Play all the characters. Play Sonny, play the biker, everybody. Really? Yes.
Is that available to be seen anywhere? Can people see that?
Not on tape yet. No. I will. I am going to film it. I was going to do it recently on Broadway. I just did.
Yeah, I heard that you brought it to Broadway, right?
It was on Broadway, and then I just did it in Las Vegas at the. I did it at. Geez, what hotel? I just totally went blank. I did it at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas just recently, and it's just a wonderful show. And I do it in Vegas in big venues.
Anyway, it was such a pleasure to speak with you, man. It was really great, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks a lot.